Hi YouTube, this is Evie. I'm sorry that my videos this week are up kind of late. It has ended up being that with my work schedule, I couldn't really film any earlier than today. So I'm going to try and film both my videos for today, edit them, and have them up for you all over the weekend. The first one that I'm going to be going over is how to stay safe in BDSM, and I'm going to be talking about both how to stay safe when you're meeting a new person for the first time, and also if you're planning on going to any dungeons or play parties and things like that, or having a scene with somebody for the first time. Okay, so first thing is when you're meeting somebody in real life for the first time is to meet in a public place. And by that I mean somewhere that's going to be busy and have a lot of people at it. When you're planning on meeting them, you could go out for lunch, you could go to a cafe or a park, you could go to a bar if you want to. Just make sure there's going to be other people around. Ideally, it should be somewhere that you're already familiar with and that you've been to before. I would not advise traveling a really long distance or going to a city they're not already familiar with when you meet up with someone for the first time, just because it's more dangerous to be somewhere that you don't already know the city really well if something does end up happening. And no matter where you meet up with somebody, you should always let somebody know what your plans are. And ideally, it should be someone that you can stay in contact with the entire time that you're meeting up with this person. Somebody that's just easy to get a hold of and that potentially can come pick you up if you need to or call the police for you if something really terrible happens. I would also advise setting up with that person a specific time during the meeting that you call and check with them or text them. Don't go somewhere that you're not going to have cell service, so don't go on like a backwoods hiking trip or camping or someone the first time you meet them because it's so easy to lose cell phone service and get out of contact. If your plans end up changing and you end up going to a different place than you originally planned, you should always check in with them and let them know what your new location is if you do end up going somewhere else, and let them know when your plans to leave are and anything like that. Ideally, you should be able to drive yourself to and from wherever it is that you're going, but if not, you should have somebody there who can pick you up and drop you off. Obviously, don't share your real name or phone number, address, or anything like that with someone you've never met before. You obviously don't have to share it right away. You can wait a little while. There are all sorts of apps so you can text and call somebody without actually revealing what your real phone number is. And if you do end up in a situation where like your car breaks down or something and you might need them for a ride, I would highly advise using something like Uber or Lyft instead, rather than relying on whoever this person is to just give you a ride back, because then you have to reveal to them, what your actual address is. And if you are meeting up with somebody and you're doing a play session or a scene for the first time, I would highly recommend going to a public dungeon rather than going to their house or to some sort of private event. And the reason why is because at a public venue, one, there's going to be people, and two, some of those people are going to be dungeon monitors. And dungeon monitors' entire job is to keep you safe and watch scenes and make sure that everything is going okay. So if something does go wrong, you have backup for that and you have a support system that's already built into the environment that you're going to. When you're playing with somebody for the first time, you should always make sure that you establish consent and that you establish safe words. That's something you should always do in BDSM, no matter how long or short the relationship has gone on for, and no matter who the person is, no matter how experienced they say they are with BDSM, they always should ask and establish for consent, and they should always ask for and establish safe words, no matter what. And going along with that, no matter how experienced the person you're meeting with is, you should always go slowly the first couple times you do a scene with them. Although I know it can be really exciting and you just want to be able to jump right into the deep end and do all sorts of weird, kinky, crazy things with them. You need to go slowly so that way you can establish, what their play style is like, make sure that you are compatible in scenes and know how to communicate both verbally and non-verbally with each other. Make sure that your kinks line up and that they understand what your pain tolerance is and how to control their strength and things like that. There are just so many ways that things can go wrong quickly if someone isn't able to control their own strength during a scene or aren't able to understand the pain tolerance and the limits of the submissive during a scene if they're not familiar with them already. Going along also with establishing safe words and consent, if you are planning on meeting somebody at a bar, I would avoid drinking in excess. You can have a beer or two. Don't feel like you have to be completely 100% dry and sober when you go to a bar. But the problem with drinking a lot and getting drunk around someone for the first time, especially if you want to play with them, is the fact that when you're drunk, it can be really, really hard, if not impossible, to establish consent. And you 100% need consent to be able to do any kind of sexual activity with someone, especially in BDSM. So, if you are planning on doing a scene with someone, but you're also planning on going to a bar, I would talk about it before you actually get to the bar or before you start drinking, and make sure you can establish what you're comfortable with and what your limits are once you actually start drinking, so that way there's no gray area and no confusion. And something to remember with all of this is that a good dominant will not become impatient and will respect your safety concerns. They won't be annoyed by your lack of trust in them. Something to remember is that trust is something you have to earn over interacting and talking with someone over a long period of time. It isn't just something you give away because of the fact that you met once and yeah, your profile picture matched what you look like. That doesn't establish trust with somebody, especially not if you're planning on doing anything involving BDSM with them. Okay, that's really all that I had to say about this topic. If you ever do end up in an unsafe feeling situation, you should either talk to the person that you're with about it and see if they can correct it, or you should try to remove yourself from the situation if at all possible. But that's all I really have to say for this video, and I will see you next week.